Today, I'm proud to say that under the UK's presidency, the group of the world's 7 most advanced economies, the G7, is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote that could be used alongside physical notes and coins. Unlike most of the digital money people use daily today, it would be issued directly by a central bank, like the Bank of England in the UK. And governments and central banks across the world are working together, looking into what having a digital currency might mean in practice.
All right, FTX, this company's got more holes than Swiss cheese, folks. So much more going on behind the scenes than just the collapse of the second largest crypto exchange on the planet. Under the table dealings, connections to high profile political leaders, shady sex parties, crypto branded condoms, connections to the governments like Ukraine, money laundering possibly, meetings with crypto players who are no longer with us, and even more, folks. This story reads like a textbook intel operation. So if you're a subscriber to my main channel, then you know we've covered the details of this FTX debacle, but there is much, much more to the story, folks. Something that just happened yesterday, something the Fed just announced, coincidentally, just days after the collapse of FTX. Wait until you hear about this, folks, and how it all ties back and ties together with the WEF. Now, just to make sure that everyone's on the same page, SBF raided his exchange's customer funds. Complete scumbag used that money to bail out his sister company called Alameda Research, their trading outfit. But before that happened, starting back in 2018, SBF began spending huge amounts of money donating it to the Democratic Party. Now, $5 million to Joe Biden for his presidential run in 2020. Then during the midterms during 2021 and 2022, donated $37 million, making Sam Bankman-Fried the second highest political donor to the Democratic Party, just under George Soros, who donated $100 million plus dollars. But then something odd happens. This 29-year-old crypto bro goes to the White House for a meeting with a top Biden advisor named Steve Ricchetti. Now, he meets with this guy twice, once in April, then again in May. Now, Sam's brother also goes to the White House as well. All of this confirmed with White House visitor logs. Now, following these White House meetings, literally just 2 weeks after, SBF decides to up the ante and announce that he's going to donate up to $1 billion for the 2024 presidential election. Odd timing, no? Now, in the background, much more is happening. SBF's mother is a Stanford professor who starts a Democratic political action committee called Mind the Gap, with a goal to help Dems win elections. Now, this PAC received millions of dollars from Silicon Valley billionaires. Then his brother, Gabe Bankman-Fried, who I personally wasn't aware of. By the way, he also works on Capitol Hill. He was the person in charge of all of his political connections, Sam's political connections. Then, if all of that's not bad enough, the CEO of his trading firm, Alameda Research, is the daughter of Glenn Ellison, an MIT professor who just so happened to work alongside the current SEC chairman, Gary Gensler. Okay, so now that everyone's caught up on the background here, this brings us to present time. Now, yesterday, just days after this crazy roller coaster ride in hell, that being FTX, we now have the Fed announcing their own CBDC, centralized banking digital currency. This is a pilot, they say, to see how it goes and how it can increase effectiveness in transaction settlement times and how easy or difficult it will be to integrate digital money into the banking system in whole. Now, if you're not aware, CBDCs are bad, folks. The opposite of what we want. Crypto should be decentralized. And CBDCs, well, it's all in the name, folks. Centralized bank digital currency. Call me skeptical, but days after FTX's collapse, they rolled this out. Now, that's either terrible timing or the best possible timing. Think about it. When the entire public is hearing about FTX collapsing and millions of customers losing their money due to crypto being handled incorrectly via the private sector, it sounds almost relieving to most people not paying attention that the government just swoops in and says this is why we should be the ones in charge. Now, if you're not aware, the World Economic Forum, the WEF, published a CBDC policymaker toolkit specifically for governments to use when developing their own CBDC and how they should implement it. Now, according to the New York Fed, they, along with 12 other banking giants, are participating in this test pilot, including Citigroup, HSBC, MasterCard, Wells Fargo, Bank of New York Mellon, one of the more corrupt banks in the world, in my opinion, etc. Now, here's what they say in the press release. Projects like this that focus on the digitization of central bank money and individual bank deposits could be expanded to take a broader view of this unique opportunity. Michelle Neal, the head of the New York Fed's markets group, said it sees a lot of promise in switching to a CBDC to speed up settlement time in currency markets. So this is the beginning of the end of cash, folks, a cashless society. Okay, when the government can see, control, manipulate everything you do, it's impossible to do anything without money, right? And now using a CBDC, a lot of that power that you have over yourself, all right, you relinquish it to the government. It's a power play. Classic power play. Now, don't get me wrong. I mean, I see the benefits of a CBDC. In theory, it would make almost everything easier, but it also gives the government much, much more power, folks. We've already seen the downsides to this kind of a thing. A few weeks ago, PayPal quietly editing their terms of service to allow them to withdraw $2,500 if they believe you engaged in misinformation or malinformation online or whatever they're calling it nowadays. Same thing with the CBDC, but the governments are the ones in control. Now, I'm a proponent of cryptocurrency, but a real legitimate decentralized cryptocurrency, the promise of what crypto was supposed to be. Over the years, the industry has been moving in a constant centralized direction. And now with a government CBDC, it's the ultimate centralization of power, the opposite of what crypto was intended to be when it was created. Now, I've heard people saying on Twitter that this is all just a false flag. Sam Bankman-Fried was offered up to serve a larger purpose, a larger goal. I don't know about any of that, but I do think that they took advantage of this situation and announced this test pilot at what they see as an opportune time. I mean, this is all part of the Great Reset, folks. The World Economic Forum has been talking about a CBDC for years. Think about the consequences for a minute. During the last 2 years, politicians pushed for limiting travel to only vaccinated Americans. Air travel should not be allowed for the unvaccinated, they would say. I mean, I've heard them say that.
I would support that. If you want to get on a plane and travel with other people, that you should be vaccinated.
Well, think about it. If our economy ran on a CBDC, they could just press a button and say unvaccinated cannot use their money for airline tickets or any public transportation. That kind of a thing is what could technically be possible. So stay informed, folks. If you like this video, press the like button. Feel free to subscribe to be notified about future videos. Thanks.